Welcome back to Carlo Prusa MMA. I'm Carlo Prusa with Mr. Korey Taylor ahead of his upcoming Combat Night co-main event against Quinten Bray. Corey, we're only a few days out now, only about 3 days before the contest. What is the mindset like right now, knowing that you're going to go into battle this weekend?
Right now, it's kind of like the calm before the storm. Focusing on making the weight and staying healthy the last couple days. I don't really get any kind of jitters or butterflies or anything until like probably 2 minutes before I fight, and then I get in the cage and it kind of goes away. So right now, again, just really focusing on staying healthy and making the weight.
You are from Jacksonville. You get to fight in Jacksonville. How does it feel to be able to fight in front of a hometown crowd like that?
I love it. I love it. I've actually only fought out of Jacksonville 2 or 3 times. I think I fought in Tallahassee 2 or 3 times. But yeah, I love it, man, because I get a big crowd, I get a big showing, a lot of people there supporting me. It's a great feeling.
So taking on Quinten Bray this weekend, overall, what do you think of him as an opponent?
So from what I've seen, he's got a lot of experience. He's got a lot of fights. He seems very explosive, very athletic. I think it's going to be a really good fight.
One of the things I've been by watching your performances, looking at your record, your grappling is definitely on point. You have a lot of success in the grappling, be able to get your opponents down and finish it on the mat. Is that something you take a lot of pride in?
Yeah, absolutely. My home gym is Gracie Baja. So, I come from a jiu-jitsu academy. My background is always been very grappling heavy. That being said, I love standing up. It just never happens that way. Usually anytime I shoot in on somebody, I don't want to say they don't give me a hard time, but it just happens to, end up where it ends up, which is on the ground. And I'm pretty good at holding people down. But, man, yeah, I love to stand up too. But, yeah, I take a lot of pride in my grappling for sure.
In this day and age, how important do you think it is to try to make yourself a complete mixed martial artist and, have both the skill set on the ground as well with the hands?
I think that's huge. And that's something that I continuously work on, obviously. But, yeah, I've been watching MMA as far back as I can remember. Something that me and my dad really bonded over was watching the UFC. So, and just, from remember watching it back then, even to today, it's constantly evolving. So I think that it's huge for all the fighters out there to, constantly work on becoming complete fighters.
So how did you get your start in this crazy world of combat sports? What drew you to this?
I started training when I was real young. Like I said, me and my dad kind of bonded over this kind of stuff. So he had me training when I was really young. I think I was about 12 or 13. And from there, I joined the Army when I was 17. When I got out of the Army, I needed something to do. I had a couple, issues going on with me when I got out, but I needed something to do to keep me busy. So I started training here. And one day, the head coach, Professor Roberto, walked up and asked me if I could help out with another guy's camp. So I said, sure. And I did 2 or 3 camps helping people out. And he asked me to fight one day, and I said, yeah. And honestly, that was probably my worst performance ever, was my first fight. So when he walked up to me right after the fight, even though I won, I was like, I'm so sorry. And he was like, win's a win, I guess. And I walked in the gym probably a week later thinking, man, I'm glad I got that out of the way. I'm never going to have to do that again. And he was like, so you're going to be ready in 2 months? And I was like, you want me to fight? So I just kind of stuck with it and, ended up making it this far. So why stop now?
You've had quite a few fights now for Combat Night. I'm pretty sure all your pro fights have been with the organization. For you personally, what do you think of the organization? And, what do you think of organizations such as this one that, allow a pathway for guys like you to, get the experience, get the fights, and hopefully get your step to the bigger shows?
Combat Night is hands down probably the best regional show I've ever seen. It's the only one I've ever fought for, but I have cornered several teammates for other organizations, and their Combat Night is second to none. And the way they take care of their fighters, the way they, just handle everything from start to finish, it's really, really good. And it's such a great way, almost a springboard, if you will, to get you into those bigger shows. I've had a lot of friends, a lot of my training partners, they all fought for Combat Night. My friend Preston Parsons, Stephen Coslow, Trey Waters, one of my really good friends, Kuba, fights for PFL now, you know. But Combat Night was there and kind of helped them pave that road. You know, guys like Mitchell Chamale, Richard Cox, and all those guys affiliated with Combat Night, man, we wouldn't be here without them. So I think they're fantastic.
What is it like for you to be able to have friends who are fighting, in the UFC, in the PFL? Do you think you get something from that? Do you think that kind of helps you become a better fighter and gives you maybe an idea of what's next for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It helps a lot, obviously, with experience, because it's not just when I started, I only had other amateur fighters to train with, and then moving up, you get a little starstruck at first, with oh my God, this guy's in the UFC, but we become closer and we become really good friends, and it becomes normal. So that being said, yeah, it absolutely helps. When, like I said, a real good buddy of mine is Kuba. I've known him for several years, way before he was in the PFL. And man, we would go back and forth sometimes, but most of the time that dude would absolutely kick my butt. And now he's a world champion, so I'm okay with that kind of. It's not as bad now.
In this current day and age of 2024, there are a lot of eyeballs on the world of mixed martial arts. I mean, the sport has come a long way in a short time. But I think what a lot of the casual fans don't realize is the sacrifices it takes to be a mixed martial artist, especially when you're guys in your shoes at these regional levels. A lot of time, guys, regional fighters, they have to work a 40-hour week job. They have family, they have kids to support. You kind of have to do the training on the side. The money isn't great for everyone just to be able to train full time. How do you get through it? How do you make the sacrifice?
So yeah, no, for sure. When I started, I worked construction every day, and man, it sucked. I was very fortunate, the situation that I was able to kind of get myself into, as far as training full time and work. I basically worked my way into doing this full time at this academy. So this is actually all I do, for a living. At first, it was a little tough, but I had some help with the VA and stuff like that. Um, that really made it possible for me to kind of weather the early storm of the financial stuff. But now it's again, this is what I do for a living. So, but it definitely can be challenging sometimes.
Now, for you, what are your goals here? What do you want to accomplish with this whole MMA career?
I mean, I would love to make it to the UFC. I mean, that's everybody's dream, right? Um, I would love to make it to the UFC. Uh, I would like to think I'm not too far away from there, but I remember that was kind of like a pipe dream. You know what I mean? It wasn't something that was ever going to be. And I was kind of surprised myself that I made it this far and, was able to be as successful as I am. So that, you know, that was even surprising to me. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'd say the UFC would be awesome.
So you've made that transition to pro, I believe, middle through last year, and last year you had 3 fights in about 5 months. Was the idea there to stay active? Is that something you on purposely try to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 29 right now. I'll be 30 in August. So really just trying to kind of get a good solid pro record, before it's too late. But yeah, absolutely. They were a lot of fast turnarounds. I didn't really take any damage in any of my fights, so figured why not.
So in addition to training for yourself and fighting your fights, obviously, do you enjoy the whole aspect of, maybe coaching kids, training other fighters and allowing them to help prepare for their fights as well?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That's actually one of my favorite things to do because, to be completely honest, fight camp kind of sucks sometimes. It is what it is. It's part of it. But man, I love being a part of other guys' camps. I love being there for my teammates. And it feels good too to kind of give back to them when they're there for you. As far as coaching kids, yeah, I mean, sometimes it can be stressful depending on the day, depending on the kids. But again, that's something that I am passionate about. You can probably even hear my kids run. I'm at the gym right now. My kids are running around over there on the mat while I'm doing this interview. I'm trying to keep them quiet for you. But yeah, no, yeah, I love all of it. Every bit of this lifestyle, I'm all in for.
Yeah, you touched upon earlier about your time in the military. Do you think you learned maybe something in the military or took some traits and skills from that, which has helped you in the fight game?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up with my mom and my grandpa, and my grandpa was in the Marines, so I kind of always had that push from him, that military, lifestyle push from him. But being in the military, it definitely taught me to, be dedicated. And just one thing that always stands out to me is like my willpower. Like no matter what happens, like you're not gonna break me. You're not gonna break my mind, my willpower. You know what I mean? Um, so I think that's one thing that I definitely took from the military.
No, so I consider myself kind of like an MMA historian. I've been a huge fan since the first season of The Ultimate Fighter, Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture. And it's crazy when you look back, that was 2005. The sport as a whole, not just the UFC, but the MMA landscape in total is so much different in 20 years. I mean, you have so many more shows now. It's culturally accepted. People don't think this is a backyard street fight anymore. During your time in the sport, competing, training, fighting, have you seen that growth as well?
Yeah, absolutely. When did I think I had my first amateur fight in 2018, and since then, like I said, it's grown tremendously. It's definitely a lot more popular, for sure. I'd say that's probably one of the biggest things is it's growing in popularity.
Now, are you seeing it from a gym standpoint, working in a gym? Do you maybe see maybe some of that could be because kids are watching at a younger age? You have them starting to be a fan at 7 or 8, wanting to go into jujitsu at 10 years old.
Yeah, absolutely. So we start the kids here at 4, and some of the kids are like, I'm here because my parents bring me, but some of these kids are really, really into this, and it even surprises me sometimes how serious and dedicated they can be towards this. But I definitely think it's about exposure. And I think that because kids are being exposed to it so much younger, that it's something that they're really taking on. And speaking from personal experience with my two kids, they ever since they were born, they've been basically in this gym. And I catch my 4-year-old daughter all the time, trying to copy me on doing bag work. My son's 7. He's been training jujitsu since he was 3. My daughter trains jujitsu, so and he just took on striking. So I think definitely exposing them at such a young age is what's kind of bringing it up more.
Are you at the point with your kids where you're comfortable with them watching you compete live?
My son does. My son, my daughter, not yet, not yet. She's only 4, and she's kind of a daddy's girl, and she doesn't like my wife to even hug me. So I don't know how she feel about somebody else punching me.
Would you be surprised if maybe your son takes the MMA path when he gets older?
Um, I'm 50-50 on it. I'd rather him be a doctor so he can take care of me when I'm old, but and his mom might kill me if he becomes a fighter. But whatever he wants to do, I'll support him.
All right. So, last question for you, Corey. In a perfect world, what goes down when you take on Quinten Bray Saturday at Combat at MMA?
So, again, I'm not the type of person who just goes out with a singular mindset of I'm just gonna take this guy down and impose my will and this and that. Love to do that, but I am completely okay taking the fight wherever it needs to go, keeping the fight wherever it needs to stay, and perfect world, I'm finishing this guy in the first round.
Corey, thank you so much for talking to me today, man. I wish you nothing but the best this weekend.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
That's Corey Taylor. I'm Carla Prusa. Stick around.